what the next that muscle is called as in the muscles of the superficial flexor compartment of the forearm is this flexor carpi ulnaris. Now this flexor carpi ulnaris already you have come across in our last episode, that is third, the origin insertion of that flexor carpi ulnaris. But the course is left. The course of that of the flexor carpi ulnaris from the point of origin, that is just as a recap, anterior surface of that of the medial epicondyle of the lower end of the bone humerus by the humeral head, then the fascia of the that of the forearm, that is antebrachial fasciae, and as well as the that of the subadjacent muscles. This is what the humeral head. Now the ulnar head of the that of the flexor carpi ulnaris, it will be going to take origin from that of the medial part of the posterior border of the ulna, which has been already talked at this particular point in the last episode. From the point of origin, they run in a particular direction, that is, humeral head will be going to run straightway, you can say downwards, while here you can say ulnar head, it will be going to run, you can say forwards and a little bit towards the laterally to join to the humeral head, which is coming straightway from high up. From that point, it will be going to run straightway downwards. As it reaches to the that of the you can say wrist joint, it will be going to run in front of the that of the you can say flexor retinaculum, and then it will be going to run over the that of the you can say not in front, but it will be running just behind the that of the flexor retinaculum in the that of the particular synovial sheath. That is what is said to be as a synovial sheath form. Synovial sheath for flexor carpi ulnaris, and it will be running behind the that of the flexor retinaculum. Then it leaves the that of the forearm and enters into the hand, fully under the cover of that of the where you can say hypothenar group of muscles. There it will be going to get divided itself into two initially, sometimes 3 and sometimes 4, but very rarely it will be the 4th. In the sense 4th will be there, but it is very much small. The first will be going to get inserts at the that of the fissiform bone ligament, means tendon, after running in the means a synovial sheath of flexor retinaculum, soon after entering into the hand, leaving the forearm. First it will be inserting on the fissiform bone. Second thing will be going to get inserts on that of the hook of the hamate bone. Third will be going to get inserts on fasciohamate ligament, and fourth, it is very small, it will be going to get inserts on that of the fasciometacarpal ligaments. So these are the 4 point of insertion for the that of the flexor carpi ulnaris. Now this flexor carpi ulnaris relations, the relation of the that of the flexor carpi ulnaris in front, skin will be there, superficial fascia will be there, deep fascia will be there. Then at the level of the that of the wrist joint, there will be a flexor retinaculum, and this tendon will be lodging in the synovial sheath for the flexor carpi ulnaris. Then in the hand, it is completely covered by the hypothenar fasciae, that is the deep fascia of the palmar aspect of the hand, and the hypothenar muscles. So this will be the thing. Now what it will be there behind? Behind this flexor carpi ulnaris, it is completely related to the transversalis fasciae, that to flexor transversalis fasciae, Then the flexor digitorum profundus, ulnar nerve. So this is the dotted what I am showing it here. This is the what ulnar nerve. Then ulnar artery, then the ulnar veins, two, one medially, one laterally. Apart from this, posteriorly it is related to the anterior surface of the what? Ulna. So this will be the what? Relation. Now at the level of the what? Wrist joint, behind it is related to tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus and the what? Ulnar artery, ulnar vein. Then ulnar nerve also very much close in contact. Then the pronator quadratus. So these things will be there. Now at the point of that of the insertion, posteriorly it is related to the what? Anterior surface of that of the fissiform bona, anterior surface of the hook of the hamate bona, fascio-metacarpal ligaments, fascio-hamate ligament. So these things will be there. Now, what is the action of this? Action of the flexor carpi ulnaris, as it is crossing the what? That of the wrist joint, it will be the one of the flexor of wrist joint along with the other muscles. Then you will be having a what? That as it is crossing the what? That of the intercarpal joints, those intercarpal joints, when it will be crossing, flexion of the intercarpal joints, flexion of the carpo-metacarpal joints, that will be there. Apart from this, it also does the one action. That action is the what? Adduction of the hand on the what? Forearm. That is nothing but the ulnar deviation along with the flexor carpi radialis. Along with the flexor carpi radialis. So this is the action. But one action has been left, the muscle which will be there here. Now that action of that muscle is the flexor digitorum superficialis. Flexor digitorum superficialis. Flexor digitorum superficialis. Now the flexor digitorum superficialis, in the last episode, that is the third episode, I had left by a what? Something in a hurry. So now I will be going to tell that flexion means the flexor digitorum superficialis. The flexor digitorum superficialis, as that will be going to cross this wrist joint, this. It is the what? Flexion of the what? Wrist. One. Flexion of the what? That of the intercarpals. Flexion of the carpometacarpals. And even it will be crossing the what? That of the digits and reaching to the last point of the digits. So thereby it will be going to have the what? Flexion of the what? That of the interphalangeal joint. That will be going to come like this. So the action of flexor digitorum superficialis is like this manner. Now the question is what? Why we should know all these things in detail? Because if any muscle fibers are damaged, indirectly it will be not able to get perform its function. This is the one part. Second, if the root values of the what? That of the, where you can say any, you can say nerves which will be supplying to that muscle, if that is damaged, once again the muscle will be going to have the what? Impaired action. So you should know this. Now what is the, you can say nerve supply for this flexor carpi ulnaris? Flexor carpi ulnaris nerve supply is by the what? Ulnar nerve. So it is the ulnar nerve. So this what must you should know. This ulnar nerve is coming from the what? That of the medial cord of the brachial plexus having a root values C6 and C7, but more is of C7. and very much partially, very much small one filament comes from the C8, but majorly by the root C7. So this is what you should know about. Thank you very much for listening this talk, the one muscle which has been remain in my last class, that is in the last episode. Thank you.